We're here at Silverstone GP. This has been the wettest year I've ever had in this country. It's just been a crash course in wet driving, and Silverstone's not a track that drains very well. I think in racing, you're never going into a weekend hoping to be at the back, but there's important lessons and experiences to be had in these difficult weekends. You just gotta take it on the chin and get back up and just keep moving forward. You know, I think the word spa brings up so many emotions for different people. It's just so iconic. Beyond just being a gorgeous place, I mean, it's pretty spectacular. I've never really been anywhere quite like that, but it's really a racetrack through a forested mountain region. So much racing pedigree, so much history. There's been a lot of really highs there. A lot of great races. It's just known for producing really wonderful racing, and that's one of the reasons I like it. It's just a wonderful track to not only drive through these mountains, and the elevation changes are crazy. You know, you have Eau Rouge and everything, which are just incredible, but that also comes with the flip side of it, is that it does have its history of being very dangerous as well, and has been the site of a lot of tragic moments as well. It's hard to believe we're already a quarter way through the season. It's going by really quick. In a way, it really reminds me of my first year in racing in the Formula Ford. So many lessons coming so quickly. This season also feels very similar to how that one was, where it built up really slowly. The results weren't exactly coming at the beginning of the season, but I'm just a true believer that sometimes there's some lessons that need to be learned, and just keep putting in the hard work behind the scenes, and eventually the results will come, and I really do believe that. I may be 28 years old, but I've only been racing for really 2 years. I don't even really count last year. Last year taught me a lot about discipline, work ethic, and it taught me a lot about how much I wanted it. This year, actually competing on the grid and, you know, racing other guys and being so close and qualifying. Once you get a taste of little successes here and there, it just makes you want to push harder and harder. You can do a lot of training behind the scenes, but experience on track is something that you can only get on track. Yeah, I'm just like a sponge absorbing a lot this year. My quote for the year that I've been living by is "burn the boats." Alexander the Great, when he took his army into Persia, burned the boats behind him as a message to himself and his army that either we're gonna win or we're gonna die trying. So that's kind of been my motto, and it's been all or nothing, no turning back, no retreat. I don't like to be results oriented. I like to be process oriented. And I like to see progress between myself, but at the end of the day, you're working for results. You have to develop a certain patience and a strong belief as well that they will come, as long as you're doing what you need to behind the scenes. I've been really fortunate this year to work with Ollie Hancock. Yeah, we have a lot of fun, but it's really valuable training that we get done in the go-karts. I'm having to learn a lot of stuff that my fellow competitors started learning when some of them were 5, 6, 7 years old. It's fun for me because I've always loved a challenge, and I love pushing my limits and seeing what I'm capable of. I've learned so much, honestly, and Ollie himself has had a really successful career in cars, so he's really wise when it comes to motorsport. That translates over to the Formula car as well, which he has experience in.
We've been working with Shawn for 6 months now, 7 months, something like that. This is all about learning basic principles of motor racing, learning very simple things, wet lines, discipline of driving, and understanding the difference between the do's and the don'ts, but also understanding why. By the time kids get to his starting point, they've been in karting for 10 years at least. Karting is one of the most fantastic ways to develop your mental strength.
It's been cool to have a day in the go-kart where you have some real breakthroughs, and then you get into the GB3 car with similar conditions that give you the opportunity to apply what you've learned in the kart and have success in the GB3 car. Man, Thursday practice was awesome. It was so rewarding. I don't want to say I was surprised, but in kind of ways you do get pleasantly surprised when things like that happen. Sometimes your hard work sneaks up on you, and that's what Thursday was. It was just top 5 all day, top 3, top 2. One of the sessions was fastest. Everything was just clicking. Yeah, it definitely just goes to show that the training in the karting is working, because I mean, we went karting it was a week before, and put slicks on in the wet. The results are pretty clear from what's been going on in similar conditions in the GB3. I just went out there to go have fun. I didn't put pressure on myself and was just really enjoying. I'm here at Spa, it's raining, this is sick. Going flat up Eau Rouge in the wet is pretty incredible. And then next thing I know, I had Dan Mitchell on the phone, you're doing great, you're P2 right now. So much of the sport is confidence based. As much as you can be I'm not results oriented, the results create a positive feedback loop and you develop confidence, and so you start driving better, which develops more confidence. So it's important to get results at some point in this journey. And even if it's just a practice like that was, oh man, it was really nice. Yeah, it was really cool to be doing so well in the wet, which used to be one of my weaknesses. So Friday brought different weather, as Spa usually does. Mixed conditions are always difficult, and the whole day before was pretty consistent, and we had a really good setup on the car, and I knew what I was doing in the car. Friday just kind of threw a bunch of spanners into the works, and yeah, it was definitely a very chaotic start to qualifying. Mechanics were running everywhere on all the teams, changing setups last minute. I had members of my team literally going over data as we're sitting on the grid to go out for qualifying. It was chaotic, and I think it was just kind of a toss-up for who was going to get the setup right at that point. Yeah, we tried our best, I tried my best, but it just wasn't meant to be for qualifying. So perspectives are definitely changing as the year goes on, which is a positive sign, I think, because we're getting the results that push forward our expectations. And I think it doesn't help that on the first day of testing we're doing so well. That really boosted expectations. The progress is clear to see, even comparing, I'm comparing this race to the start of the season, but even comparing to last year, being here at Spa, I was completely nowhere. In this series, I have, up to this point, haven't had a result in the top 10. And race 2 is P7. Best result of my GB3 career. Yeah, I was stoked. I was super happy with that. It was on merit too. It wasn't just guys crashing out in front. I actually genuinely had a lot of great moves and moved my way forward in that race. It was a fun and rewarding race. Both my parents were there, and it's really special to get good results when your family's there and be able to share that moment with them and have them there with you is always really cool. I'm a big believer in celebrating the wins, even if they're tiny. We all have our goals and our aspirations of where we want to get to. We all want to be winning races, but I think it's really important to enjoy the journey. Personally, I put in so much hard work, so every little bit I get, I'll take. And if you're not rewarding yourself, it makes it really difficult to stay motivated in training. P7, a lot of drivers would not be happy with that, and they'd be like, oh, whatever, even if it was their first P7. But for me, that was for me, I might as well have won that day. I've come so far, and it's fun because a lot of that I do attribute to karting, and karting in the wet, putting slicks on when it's pouring rain outside and trying to get around a circuit without spinning. I think this is the fuel you need, and the proof in the pudding that your training is going according to plan. It makes you want to continue pushing and learning. The guys on the team have been working on me with being more aggressive. That's a skill I have to learn, because I think for a lot of the younger guys, it's more of something that they're just kind of naturally more aggressive. I have an engineering background. I like to think things through a lot. Race 2 was dry. Then going into race 3, it was dry but patchy. patchy conditions, you really have to look out for little damp spots, and I just got a little too focused on racing the guy in front of me and braked in a little bit of a damp spot and locked a tire, and the rest is history, as they say. I think after you have a wreck and you hit someone else, then I think the races after that, it's something that you have to be able to not let bother you. In a race, the last thing you want to do is DNF, because you just don't even get the opportunity to even practice. Of course you don't want to hit someone, but you can't be like, you have to race. Accidents happen, mistakes are made, so. I try not to focus on it too much, and I think it's important to pick out the positives and leave with those at the top of your mind. I still left Spa with the feelings I had of race 2. It is difficult to, when you've had a tough race and then see your teammate on the podium and you're like, you just really want to be there too. You're always happy for your teammate, at least personally I truly am. I can't think of a better illustration of this sport than what that weekend was at Spa. This sport is just so up and down, and especially in the beginning phases when you're learning so much, it tends to be really varied like that until it starts having more and more positive things. I'm happy to have and feel blessed to have even had a positive experience at Spa, even though it was kind of, shouldered by disappointing experiences. I can't wait to get on that podium. I know it's coming. I've been putting all the hard work and all the building blocks are in place. It's coming sooner rather than later. I found this sport and this passion much later in my life. I've completely fallen in love with it and know this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And so I have a real fire to make this happen. A lot of motivation, a lot of drive, a lot of discipline. This is my love. This is everything in my life right now. P7, my best result I've had in GB3, and I'm gonna take it, roll with it, and go even harder in training. Hungary is our next race on the calendar.
Are you hungry for more?
I'm hungry for more after my best result at Spa. This track is super technical, but I'm confident we'll get some good running in. So much of this sport is learning to drive with an aggression, and that's something that I need, something I'm looking for, is to find the animal within.